Welcome to Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Today we have Ori Halevy.
Yes, it is I.
It is you. You're back.
I am back. I've been here before.
You have. We're recording again at the Wall Comedy Club. Check out the Wall Comedy Club. Events and so forth. My Sunday show. Yeah. Anyway.
And stuff.
And stuff.
Stuff is important.
Stuff like big old Jews.
Big old Jews.
Big
We're
old
recording.
Jews. We are.
Yes.
You just changed your Instagram back.
Yes. So after a lot of reflection, I've sat with my wife. We've discussed this thoroughly, and I realized bald Jew is a bit too generic.
It's a bit generic.
Yeah. And then I thought, actually, I've heard some people just call me the big old Jew.
Yeah.
And I should bring it back. So now for my 232 followers.
Oh my God. Have you got 232
followers?
Stop.
It's not 231. I'm telling you that. You ever get that where you're like, you have a new follower, you're like, yes.
Yeah, do all the time. But hilarious that you were 230. You're like, yes, 232.
Yes, I'm proud of every one of them. I'm not like one of those people like, where's the run number coming? No, I'm like, that is 32 right there.
Yeah. I'm very, very grateful for all my and I like it when I lose them because it's like, oh, they're not real followers.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's
I'm always
also
happy,
true.
and then it's and they come back again.
That's what when people leave in the break, I'm also happy.
Right? Oh my God, so happy when people leave in the break.
Yeah. Well, not when everyone leaves in the break.
No, not like that show that we that was so
weird because the first half was actually good. It was just long, I think.
I had a breakdown after that. Like, also,
Why?
I got triggered by I hate using that term, but I got triggered by a song, one of AR's songs. And
That was after though, no?
yeah, it was after.
Okay.
But like, I think so. Basically, we've got this format of a show for those who are listening, where we do sets and then we leave and keep our phone recording, and then the host interviews the audience to see what was your favorite joke, what didn't you understand, how would you describe the comedian, and what would you like to see more of.
I like
and we
how
did
you
this.
depicted the host right now, so you gave it a lot more energy. Like, what do you understand? What did you understand?
You.
He came to our show. He's giving me.
Exactly. That's what it's like when
Yes,
I do
absolutely.
it.
Yes, yeah. You have energy. I just like, what do you guys think? I don't know.
You have hosted that format once,
Yes,
right?
I have.
Yeah,
I actually had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think
Because
it's
it brings
fantastic.
out things from people that you can improvise on as a host, which is way more interesting than where are you from? What are you guys doing?
Totally. And also the way you can tie the whole show together. And then when you get to do a set as well, you're just like, you can't give me feedback.
That's the sweet spot. It's like if you're the host, everybody's getting feedback but you.
It's so good.
You're the god of the night.
Exactly. But you know too much. So they can't give you feedback because you already know everything that they want. Every single thing that they want.
Yeah,
Not all
you
the
learn
comedians.
what they all.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't think about it that way.
But yeah, there's one show, everyone left in the break. And so we couldn't have our comeback sets.
And I gotta say, first of all, there weren't a lot of audiences there from the beginning.
And they weren't there intentionally.
But they were still a good audience. But I think the first half was just so long.
Yeah.
Because we asked the questions, and we also had one more comic than something like that.
I think I love you, Bruno. You listen, but I think it was also...
Bruno was hosting.
Bruno hosted.
Yes.
So just a little bit less less practice knowing how much time is passing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it went longer because of that.
Yeah.
And then no retribution. Like, I heard all these people be like, yeah, your comedy is predictable. And I was like, I was appeasing you because I had to kick a man out from the show because he was sitting there with his laptop open.
Oh, that fucking guy.
I spent half my set very diplomatically explaining to this guy still sitting with his laptop working at the very front of the room.
What was your comment? I liked it. Something about the spirit of my ex-boyfriend or something.
Yeah. I was like, what did I say? I was like,
So let's depict the scene. The scene was, so it's a small room because it's an experimental show. We do it in a small room. And then there's all the audience is like cool. And then there's this one guy who was told to leave, but he's just sitting there working on his computer.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it is so there's a spot on the comedians, but then he's sitting there with his computer. There's a spot on his face. And I'm just looking at this guy from the back. I'm like, I want to kill that fucking guy.
You were losing my shit in the back room before. And I was going up first and I was like, look, I was like, do you want to go up first and deal with him? And you were like, I can do that. And I was like, also, I could do it too. Like, I can do it. I'm supposed to go up first. I can do it. It's fine. And then I was like, could we just leave him there? And it's like, no. And so I went up and I was just like, hey, like, hey, like,
This is on stage, especially right next to the stage.
Yeah, he's sitting right next to the stage, and I'm like, are you working right now? He's like, yeah. I'm like, for a comedy show, like you can't, like you're here, but you're not really here. Like you're not really paying attention. And I think that's when I was like, you're like all my, it's like the spirit of my ex-boyfriend here. As you're like.
And then the audience was like, cool. But then I think you backtracked a bit because everybody was actually with you, and it was like he has to leave. But then you were trying to be nice to the guy.
Oh yeah.
And then what happened was you said, well, I mean, you can also stay if or something like that. You backtrack a bit, and the audience was then with you.
Yeah.
And they're like, yay! And that guy said, okay, I'm gonna stay. And then I just yelled from the back, he's like, no, you can't stay.
Well, I was like, you can stay, but you have to close your laptop.
Oh yeah, that's what you said.
No,
but he didn't say that. He wanted to work.
Yeah, and I was like, you can't stay here and work with a comedy show. This is not This is not a TV show. We're right here, and you need to give us all your attention.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, you said that. And then someone from the audience, sorry, I just didn't remember. Someone from the audience said, we could let him stay. And then you were flowing with someone with the audience, and everybody was doing that. Sorry, that was the case. And I was then like, no, there's no way you're leaving. You're leaving this room right now.
And I was like, yeah, look, we can't have you with split attention. And I was like, look, there are seats on the other side in the other room. And the funny thing was, I haven't talked about this on the podcast. The best thing, okay, so he left, all right. No, he slowly packed he left whilst I was on the stage. Slowly packed his shit up, left whilst I was still on the stage. And then I left to get my feedback, right? So it was then my turn to get my feedback. I did some jokes after that. But like trying to do material after you've just basically had to manage the room and kick someone out. So of course I did my predictable stuff.
This whole podcast is about you getting back at the people that left that couldn't hear your feedback to their feedback.
Oh, it was predictable?
Like, oh yeah,
predictable? Oh, am I edgy?
It's like the creepy guy that was like in love with someone in high school, and then 20 years later it's just like, yeah, you think I'm fat? She never even saw him. Like,
but then I was sitting outside as they were giving Bruno was interviewing the crowd for their feedback on me, and then as I was sitting outside, dude with the laptop walks past outside to leave, and I was like, hey dude, look, like, it wasn't anything personal, it's just like, like, have you been to comedy shows before? Because and he was like, look, I was just in Ukraine for the last 2 weeks, I'm a journalist, and it's just no time for comedy.
That's amazing. That sentence is amazing. You know when the worst time for comedy is? When tragedy is happening, because we should all be just sad and kill ourselves.
Yeah, just be sad. Just be focused on the sadness. How dare you laugh at anything?
That's why I don't get that.
Oh my God. And I was just like, like I just run 2 charity events for Ukraine, like in the last 2 weeks before, I think in the 2 weeks before that, like I'm just going to brag, managed to raise like...
Look how such a good person.
Yeah, like The Wall and I, we raised... over 2,000 euro.
I'm sure
that went straight, and then I did a show also.
I'm sure it helped
Medusa.
them as they were like, oh, look at all this money, as a bomb hit them in the face.
Shut the fuck up.
This is amazing money to be thrown away by a bomb.
I think it was actually directly for Ukrainians in Berlin that were like supporting the Ukrainians coming out, the refugees.
Yeah, no, there are some good.
Only the ones that made it here get the help.
The ones who are alive. Here you go. Here's some money.
Fuck, so dark.
Here's some money so you can rent a room in Berlin.
Exactly. You can take my closet. But the thing is, the best thing is that a week later, after we'd been kicked out of this venue for inside jokes, we're going to pick your nose.
No, the microphone just in front of my face the whole time. Hi, I'm like a new comedian in the New Comedian Awards. I was just like, hello, everybody. How's everyone? I was just shaking.
Or just like standing in front of the mic stand, like not moving it, and like holding the... not moving the mic stand, that's a funny thing. But anyway, the week after this venue basically kicked us out because they didn't like the stand, like the open mic comedians, telling whatever jokes they told. They were like, we don't like that kind of comedy. It's like, it's an open, wasn't our show.
They overheard from the next room. This is a venue that's pretty shitty anyway, but they overheard from the next room, not our show, by the way, somebody else's show.
Yes.
And they overheard, someone from the staff overheard words they don't enjoy. And suddenly they're like, you should change your comedy. And my initial reaction was like, you should change your beers. I don't like your selection. Like, well, how about you tell us what to do? We tell you what to do.
My immediate thing was, oh, you've got issues with the content. We're looking for, and we're looking for a new venue.
We immediately said that. Yeah.
No censorship, thank you. But anyway, a week later,
a shitty bar. You're gonna be a censor now.
I'm not going to shit on the bar, but I don't respect. They're a collective. I don't respect any kind of censorship of art.
Of course not.
Of course. But anyway, so I only disrespect them for that level, not because of the beers or the
They do
space.
have good chili con sin carne.
I like the whole place. It's just a shame. Anyway, so and so much of
now we have a
that
better
leftist
place.
collective, kind of vibe, they end up being these controlling, censors. Like that's what happened with my share house that I lived in with these, queer activist women who in the end just, judge any kind of art as, the first to, and it's like, there's no hate speech in here. Why are you needing to rip everything apart and find the political issues in it? It's like,
Have you ever read the book Three Body Problem?
No.
I read this. I just started to read this book, and I think it's also sci-fi in it, but it starts from the past, and it starts from the Chinese Revolution, and they go into like the thing of like, so there's a professor there who's just teaching physics, and this is after the revolution. They bring him up in front of the whole student body to say that the physics that he's teaching is actually Western doctrine, blah 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 blah, and all these young people who don't have as much knowledge as him are standing behind him, and they put a oven door around his neck so it'd be heavy, and they're like parading him in front of everyone to show what, and this guy's just basically telling the truth. But because the indoctrination of the other people, he has to apologize for the truth. And I feel like at the end of the day, even if you start from good intentions, it will always get that way, because the more you dig, at some point, something is just not, it's that word, and then it's that sentence, it's that intention, and then this, and then that, and it never ends. It just becomes a dictatorship. That's all it is.
Exactly. I hate that. But, so the rounding out of the story is that like 2 weeks later, having visited the new venue that we're moving to, I went and got a coffee.
Very good venue, Anna found.
Amazing venue. Zus war gestern. Check it out.
Yes, come Monday. It's going to be fun.
Zus war gestern, which is, you know what it means? The expression?
Sweet was yesterday?
Sweet. Yesterday was.
Yeah, yesterday was sweet. That's just a German way of saying this.
Yeah. But it's just like, cool. Like yesterday was, not today, it's like
isn't the German way of saying it, but you just interpret it like that, which is even funnier, I think. It's just like, hey, sweet was yesterday. Which is actually not sucks. Really a good sentence for Germany in general. It's just like saying, make America great again.
Almost like,
it was a sweet.
Can we bring back the
Stuff?
past?
I mean, it wasn't all bad.
But they're very anti-fascist, anti-Nazi, all that stuff.
No, they're great.
They're so cool. But anyway, so I just found this venue.
Place to dance in, by the way.
Oh yeah, I've danced. I've picked up some very young men there, and like age appropriate men as well.
Hopefully both.
Yeah, actually, I started two like little affairs, 3 affairs from that venue. Oh. And then one that was just like a kiss and go. Anyway, I'm going to continue on with the story. So I went and got a coffee after securing this venue. And when I went into this cafe, this barista and his colleague were laughing, looking at their phone. And he was like, oh, sorry, can you wait to the customers? And then I was like looking at him. And it was the guy. It was the guy that had been in Ukraine. Exactly. And so then he comes up and he serves the woman before me. And then I was like, hey, so it's a time to laugh now, is it? And he was like, huh? I was like, were you in Ukraine a couple of weeks ago?
Nice.
And he was like, yeah, I was in Ukraine how do you know? And I was like, you were at my comedy show and you said it wasn't a time to laugh, but I saw you laughing. It's so great that it's a time to laugh again. It's so great.
Now that you've decided that it's time to laugh, can we all now laugh? You piece of shit.
And he was like, oh, and he was like, oh, I thought you were American. I was like, does that give you the right to be a little cunt to me at my comedy show? Like, what? And then he, anyway, we had.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I texted it in the Inside Jokes team.
I remember you said that, but he didn't say this part. But then he apologized or something.
Then he was like, oh, look, I'm sorry, where are you from? And I was like, oh, New Zealand. And we had a bit of a chat, but he was kind of, the whole time he was clearly ashamed that he'd been such a dickhead.
People who go to Ukraine think they're special for some reason. Like there's this guy, me and Rob and Adam, they were talking to this guy. They told me later, like I've talked to him a bit, that he's going to do a documentary about Ukraine. So he's going to go to Ukraine, and literally said, "This is my time."
He said, "This is my time
to do a documentary about something real in the world." And then he was like, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna be this the whole guy, like, look, I'm from Israel. I'm like, he has absolutely no concept of what war is. Like, this guy just thinks I'm just gonna go and everything's gonna be fine. No, man, this is war. Like, people don't. What do you mean this is your? I'm gonna be in the cameras. I'm gonna be safe.
Just
like,
even this thing of like, I'm gonna do a documentary. Like, where is your goal here? Like, surely your goal should be, I want to I want to educate people, or bring the truth to the fore. I want to help Ukrainians.
No, he might say
this is
that.
my time.
No, he might have said that. I only heard part of the conversation. He did seem like a knowledgeable guy, but he also said that.
He did seem like a knowledgeable guy?
He did seem,
He
yeah.
did, okay.
But he also
still
said that.
This is my time.
Which is obvious. People are like, yeah, I'm going to do a documentary. Everybody's going to watch it.
But it's like, dude, it's like to have that, to even say that sentence when you're talking about some humanitarian crisis is like, ew.
I mean, yes, but it's just human nature.
It's gross.
It's just like, to me, it's just like, everybody always thinks about themselves, and at the same time, it's just like the idea of, I can just go to war. It just reminds me of like the people who went to fight ISIS. Mm-hmm. I just can go. It's just how you watch 3 zombie movies. It's good.
Who went to fight ISIS?
Also, such a weird Americans. Also, like, people from
weird Americans.
Yeah, weird Americans. Yeah. It's just like, I got a gun. It's just like, I'm gonna go to war. You just don't even think about the post trauma. Or like, even if you go to fucking do a documentary, what happens if a bomb explodes next to you? What happens if you go and you see your first dead body mutilated on the floor? Oh, that's great. I just went and ruined my life forever.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking dumb. These people have to be there. They have to fight for their country. And like, I mean, this is my time. I'm going to win an Oscar.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't want to judge. I don't know what his intentions are, but it seemed like so unconnected to reality.
It is very I think most people who haven't, everyone who hasn't lived in war has no idea.
I just realized recently that, I mean, I always kind of knew it. Like, Israel is a state that's constantly at war. But I just realized recently that it's all the time.
Yeah.
That we're just very good at pretending like it's not happening.
Yeah.
And defending ourselves in the borders of this thing. But at the end of the day, that's the tension that's always there. It's like, we know.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing, I think Israel's a real, like, because I've been thinking about how this war is happening in Ukraine, and the first couple of weeks we were like, fuck. And then, seeing our Ukrainian friends, like, also like, and then now it's just normal.
Yeah, it's normal.
And it's like, okay, this whole thing's happening here. We have no idea how this might extrapolate out and affect us in Germany. We don't know, but we've stopped caring.
Yeah.
And so Israel is this perfect example of just like really just getting the fuck on with it, and you're going to react when a crisis happens. But
when bombings started happening in the 90s in Israel, there was a lot of bombings, and people didn't know how to react to them initially. And I remember, this is so cynical, but there was a time where people were like, this is happening every 2 days. We can't just fucking stop our lives every time this is happening.
Yeah.
And so the news didn't know how to deal with it, right? So the news was like, bombing. And at some point, people were like, all right, we get it, bombing. And then there was this guy who was killed himself. It doesn't matter. It's the same story, by the way, but if you want to get into it, but it's like an insane narcissist. This guy was the #1 TV star at the time in the 90s. He had like 40% approval rating. Like, this guy was insane.
I love how you mention an approval rating for a star. Like,
no, like
because you worked in TV,
like,
but but it's just like
why
I only think of that for politicians, approval ratings, but I never think of that for actors.
It's not called approval ratings. This is called ratings, I guess.
I guess ratings.
So, so it's a rating.
No, but like
English is not my first.
No, but I'm not correcting you. It was just like it's probably the correct term, but it's just it's
I don't know. I just like to use things that sound nice.
But I associate ratings with TV shows, not people.
No, he's on a TV show. That's what I'm saying.
So
he's got. You see what I mean? It's a whole thing. Anyway,
specificity. Sorry, guys.
This is a war of getting through words. So
that's my fault.
It is your fault. You're like, nah. I'm like, nobody cares. Approval
blame
rating.
My mother. Okay, let's blame my mother.
Let's talk about your mother. I now want to talk about your mother.
We were talking about my mother last night, actually, weren't we?
Yeah, we were a little bit.
But let's finish this thing about the actor in Israel.
Let's not talk about my mother. All right,
we can talk about it.
It's fine. So the guy had like 40, like, he's insane ratings. And one day, I remember this, where he had a TV show on that night. And sometimes what they started doing is like, there's an ongoing bombing situation. It's like 3 hours, so they just show a football game on half the screen or something like that. And then, but that started later. And then I think he was the pivotal point, because what he did is such a manipulative matter. He sent a camera crew to the hospital where a woman who just was through a bombing was like treated. And he asked her on live TV if it's okay for them to do the show. And she said, yes, we have to continue with their life. And he said, okay. And they did the show. And from that point on,
manipulative as fuck.
it's manipulative, but it's also like,
It's also smart.
It's also smart. And it was relieving because you just don't want to see it anymore.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear it. You don't want to fucking see dead bodies. I'm telling you, like fucking, we're talking about footage of dead bodies because what happened, the bombing had just occurred. And the TV crew is just like fucking, and nobody's covering up the thing yet. And you're just seeing, like, I was like, 14, 15? I'm just seeing dead bodies on TV. It's just insane.
Jesus.
Like parts of dead bodies,
Yeah,
right?
fuck.
That's crazy.
That's horrible.
But you kind of, at some point, you kind of just like, all right, you got to move on. Like, and now, I remember, like, there was this thing in France, and I was in Israel. I think I was visiting or something. I don't remember. And there was this thing in France, and they closed the street off for, like, 7 days or something, 2 weeks or something. And there was a bombing in Israel, like a shooting. Somebody shot in the middle of Tel Aviv. I was there. And 2 hours later, I was at the film in Tel Aviv. In Tel Aviv. And I posted that. I was like, that's the difference. Like, I'm now at a movie. And it was quite empty. And I enjoyed the fact it was empty. But that's why the thing you get to, you know?
Fuck, that's crazy. Yeah. I just do not have any experience of any of this. And I have full respect for the fact that people have that experience and that...
Crazy.
Yeah.
What I found funny about it was like you can definitely see it in comedy because the minute the war started on that day, people were craving comedy. But then that next month things were weird.
Yes.
And now it's become better. Exactly what you said. Because people just like fuck it.
Yeah.
And one of the things I told people, I didn't find really a joke about it, but I did say that. For Europeans, there's such a level, or many other people, there's such a level of not knowing war that in their mind, it jumps from no war to nuclear war.
Yeah, everyone's talking about nuclear war right now. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, was there a bomb that was a nuclear bomb that's been
nobody's talking
dropped?
even.
No, like that's
people's
happened.
paranoia just jumps from zero. But I come from a place where you can have just war for a long time. It doesn't need to go to nuclear at any time. But people just care about them. It's next to me. It might be a world war. That's the thing that drives them.
Yeah. I think nuclear war is just the dumbest thing to call this right now.
It's stupid.
It's totally dumb.
It's not.
Yeah, someone said that last night at a comedy show, and I was just like, why are you calling it nuclear? Like, any war could become nuclear war. Exactly. There are nuclear weapons around. Like,
the reason they're not doing anything to Putin is because he has nukes. Like, that's the main reason. Like, unless you're an idiot, like you're gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna attack this country, which obviously an insane dictator is on the top, and I'm gonna threaten their life. Like,
do you have any opinion? Like, if Russia, like, if a country did attack Putin, where do you think Putin would drop the nuke? Do you have any idea?
Nukes on every fucking country on the planet.
Yeah, but like he's got to be
whoever
strategic, right?
Go.
Because when you nuke something, like, have you been to Hiroshima?
I haven't been there, but
yeah, like it really, it really fucks shit up.
Oh yeah. Oh really? I imagine nuclear bomb. No problem at all after that. Have you seen that? There was I don't remember her name though. There was exhibition of this artist. That she was part of this Hiroshima kind of generation when I think she was even close or something. And you see her art and you see how influenced it is by that. That's got to change the whole country's psychology. Like,
it really,
insanely.
yeah. Like I worked on a farm in Hiroshima for 10 days, and it's still like it's a part of every part of that prefecture, that whole state. It's just there's signs of it everywhere, and then working with farmers, they're like, look, the soil's fine, like we're all fine, like we don't have cancer or anything, the earth renews, and there's and did you know that every time there's a nuclear weapon tested, the mayor of Hiroshima writes a letter of like pleading that they stop.
Really?
Every single nuclear weapon test. And they've got it in the museum. They've got a copy of all. Yeah. There's a lot.
Wow.
they got a whole library of their letters, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're just like, have you not seen what this does? Like, why would you do this to humanity? Why would you do this to the earth? Why would you?
I guess if Putin had to do anything, he'll take a very small place to kind of make an example of and say, hey, I'm going to use this if you guys don't. But everybody just knows. Like, the intelligence today is so sophisticated. Like, everybody, they know everything. So I think Putin would never invade a European country. I think he's trying to build his own shit, but he knows the same consequence. Like, he's not like, well, nuke me. Like, he's not in that situation. Like,
No.
that's just the way it is.
Because you're Israeli, so you worked in the army and you worked.
Yeah, but I did, I did like really, like I was a clerk in the army, really. But you understand what an army is when you're in it.
Yeah.
No one's an idiot. Like, here's a perfect example, right? I was in Miami once. I went there, and I landed at the airport, and I was like, I really needed to pee. Like, I went, and there was this guy standing there like this, like standing like with little short pants, which is ridiculous. And he had an Israeli gun, so some Israeli company invented a gun that can shoot around corners. That, like, the whole gun just goes to wherever corner you need, and you can see who's there, and they can shoot.
That's hilarious.
That's not the point, but it's a good gun. Like, I mean, it's a gun that's needed. It's good Jewish ingenuity. Anyway, so or Israeli ingenuity, I'd say, not Jewish ingenuity. Yeah. But I mean, Jewish mind. Anyway, so he's standing there with this huge gun, which on his chest, like he's like fucking, I don't know. And I come up to him and I go like, hey, where's the toilet? And he goes, move along, sir. And like this. And I'm like, I just need to know where the toilet is. Move along, sir. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what are you protecting me from? Like, what is happening? So in his mind, a war scenario is like, some sort of terrorist is going to fly in through the roof and it's going to be like, and you can see the movie. But if you ever meet a person that was at war, which I have friends and people that I've met, they're just like, yeah, man, what's up? You have a joint? Like, it's just
totally.
Like, while the thing is going on.
Yeah.
Because you realize this is just part of life. It just becomes... And
you can't be on that high alert. You can't have that level of what's the term where you're so pent up and there's like a
anxiety.
Yeah, anxiety. But when you can't have that level of vigilance.
Yeah.
Constantly,
and you only have that when you don't know when shit happens, and when you kind of live in a situation where you get information from friends and you get stuff like that, and you kind of realize things are just what they are. They're not movie-like at all. Yeah. And I hope people never know what war is like. Actually, I don't want to know either. But at least like I know because I lived in Israel and I was actually in a bombing once and stuff like that. But I feel like one of the Pythons said it on like an interview with someone is that people when war is gone for many years they kind of start to miss it in a weird way. They kind of want war again, and they don't realize what war is. And even if it's just tiny things, it's like I've heard I worked on a show about post trauma for a while, developed one, and just the little things that will fucking fuck you up for life. It doesn't even have to be big. Yeah, it's just like a thing, like a small detail. Like you don't hear bullets. Yeah, you hear when it hits behind you. You see movies like no. If you're in the receiving side of the bullet, what you hear is like behind you, and you're like, oh shit, I was almost dead right now. Like stuff like that. It never happened to me, but it's like you're like, oh okay, we don't even know what this is. Yeah. So, no war, baby.
No war.
But that doesn't help. If we say no war, that doesn't help.
No, it doesn't help shit. No.
But at least you can fucking laugh at it because that's what you can do. It's a weird thing where people are like, you shouldn't laugh. Why? This is the optimal time to laugh. Like,
this is the necessary time.
Exactly. What, do you want to fucking scar yourself for life? Just think about war and then death and people are dying. Yeah, that's happening all the time, everywhere.
Like okay, so it's in Ukraine. Like Louis C.K. You saw Louis, right? Yeah. What Louis said was, just the whole like, everyone cares because it's European. Like you get touching the skin. Like it's white people that are dying right now. It's not. Arabs,
I don't want to say anything, but I told a joke about this. Like as the war started, I'm not saying Louis stole a joke from me or anything. But there was a thing because I think I saw some TikTok video where it's repeatedly people saying, "Look at the European. They're European." I was like, yeah, they're all white. That's what you care.
Exactly. That's exactly what they care about. Yeah. Do you want to talk about my mother?
Yes, let's talk about your mother. Now that we've talked about war, it's time to talk about your mother. Tell me about your mother.
Okay, no,
I'm actually interested.
Okay, do you have specific questions?
Just I don't know. Just tell me your maybe relationship with her, or maybe like I don't know, because you're very specific. You're a very specific woman, like in terms of you're a person with a name. No, it's like you're you have a very I would say specific type of, even when you do comedy, or your attitude towards, let's say, sexuality, or any, and just what you told me, like it's just like you have. I think of all the women that I know, I have a sense of you that you have a continuous, I wouldn't say battle, but maybe I would, but dialogue with femininity. And I think it probably stems somewhere, especially what I heard you said last night about all the kind of stuff, which I've got like, now I'm very interested.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so to fill everyone in, what we were talking about last night was that I grew up in before my parents separated, they would be naked in the house. You know, we would be naked. Admittedly, I was only 10 years old when they separated, so my brother was 15. So I think like mum stopped showing herself too much when my brother was getting older, but he hadn't really hit puberty at that point. But she did change a bit later. She was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be naked in front of my 16-year-old son. Yeah. She did change that. Okay. And my father also, but with his girlfriends, like new girlfriends, he wasn't naked in front of me anymore. But yeah, they would be naked, I would be naked, and we would watch, there was a TV show called Sex Life in Australia that aired at 9 p.m. Once a week, and it would go into details about improving your sex life, sex toys, all manner of like sexuality, sex-related stuff. Yep. And that was normal. Like that, that was really normal for me. So but then after the divorce, and just before, I've got a joke about it, but it's always true. Just before my parents got divorced, my brother showed me my mum and my dad's sex drawer, and he chased me around the house with a vibrator and. And I knew where it was supposed to go, so I was like holding my legs closed, being like, God. Don't you dare.
You see, that's not a story you hear from everybody. My brother was chasing me around the room with a dildo, and I had to put my legs closed so it doesn't go in there. I mean, that's not a normal day-to-day, just, hey, let's have my family. And the thing is, you also don't tell it from a traumatized position. You're like, this is really funny. This is a big black dick is walking around me. That's weird.
I'm trying to remember what color it was. I think it was like those old sort of enamel telephones. I think it was like a off-white.
Off-white.
And it was one of those vibrators that you turn it on with like a dial at the bottom. Like
off-white. So your mom was into Ukrainians at the time. She's very sad about what's happening in the Ukraine right now. All her fantasies are now.
Well, my father's background is Balkan, half Balkan, so it kind of adds up. And I remember, and my brother then, once the internet started, he showed me like my first porn stuff. Like I think the first video he ever showed me, or the one that I really remember, was the video of the woman getting fucked by a horse, and she definitely didn't survive it.
Which I'd ever seen, so I don't know.
Yeah, don't. Just don't.
Is it still out there?
Probably. But this was back in the days where you could find those websites where, like snuff movies, it would be like
that doesn't exist anymore.
I think that
maybe dark web stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like when you told that yesterday, like, so there's a part of me is like, okay, I mean, there's a lot of unspoken about sexuality, which I don't think is good amongst like families, because you grow up with a very kind of distant sense of what sexuality is, and I mean, my mom was walking around naked and stuff, but we never had like a sex talk or anything like that. And I think that I didn't hear the vibrator story till just now, but which is interesting. But I mean, the aspect of like having it be kind of a okay thing in terms of family without it being sexual.
Yes.
And then it also kind of makes sense that your brother is showing you this thing because it is a family thing that you did kind of before, and there's nothing sexual about it.
Yes. Sharing it wasn't sexual. Like talking about it wasn't sexual.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But then what happened after that?
But then, and then I mentioned last night though that then when I did hear my dad and my his first girlfriend, have sex, that was very traumatizing for me. And then when I also heard I was a kid, of course it's accidental. Walked in on my mum and my stepdad having sex.
Yes, we're.
Gotcha!
With a camera.
No, pull off the covers. But I didn't I didn't see anything. But the hearing of the sex from my dad and his first girlfriend after my mum, who was my mum's best friend.
That's another part of that story.
Yeah, that's another element. That was so traumatic. Like my brother was like, okay, and so I didn't tell you the details about how I heard them have sex. My brother was like, I've heard Dad and Carrie. No, that's my Karen. I've heard Dad and Karen have sex. Like, we're gonna stay up tonight, and you're gonna hear it. And I was like, okay.
Oh shit.
And then we stayed in my bedroom. My bedroom shared the wall, and so we stayed in my bedroom that night. And then he kept me awake until, and then I heard it, and I was just like, so horrified, and I was covering my ears with my pillow, and I was crying, and I'm like, Maddie, make it stop, it was more like, it was so bad. I was really fucked up. He just thought it was kind of funny. He'd already heard it because he spent more time.
Just there going, this is not a time for laughter.
Exactly.
Different perspectives, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And others apparently have to say that.
But yeah, like 10-year-old Anna was like, really traumatized. And then I remember telling my mum about it, and she was like, oh, well, I'm so sorry, I'll talk to your dad about it. And then when I walked in on her and my stepdad, she was just like, I'm so sorry, I promised you that you'd never be exposed to that again. And,
How did they know that you heard it?
I told them, I guess.
Okay.
I mentioned it to them.
Hey, you know what I heard last night?
Yeah, I heard I heard Dad fucking your best friend.
But that's also a part, that's an important part of the equation.
It is actually important.
I wonder if it wasn't her best friend, if it's just a stranger.
Yeah. But I wonder if it's just that it wasn't, I wonder if I would have had the same reaction had I heard my mum and my dad fucking. And if I'd heard them fucking, maybe I'd have just been like, oh, that's what sex sounds like.
Maybe.
But because it was not my mum.
Yeah, there was an added.
It was like, my dad's making this stranger make these noises.
This person I know, which is really close to my mom.
Yeah, who's really close and who I spent Christmases with. And
I feel like that happens more, pretty often, because when couples break up, they probably just look around going, there's less options than I thought there would be.
Absolutely.
And then they're like, oh, that best friend, I've been fantasizing about her for a while. Let's.
My dad ended up remarrying, and the woman he remarried is a woman that he worked with when he was still with my mum, 10 years before. And they...
Again, sorry, what?
So, the woman that my dad ended up marrying, not this best friend, but, let's say 5 years after the divorce of my mum and my dad got together with a woman that he had worked with, when I was, 2 or 3 years old. So when he was with my mum. And so they got back together.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, got back together.
I have a theory about that.
Okay.
How old were they?
When they first were hanging out?
Yeah.
I think they would have been in their mid-30s.
Okay, my 30s something else. But I have a theory about older people, I think 60s maybe, or 50s, 60s, hooking up with people that they used to know.
Oh yeah, this happens a lot, right?
Yes.
High school crushes or
my theory is that even though you grow up, if you grow up and you still have, I don't know if it happens if you kind of lose touch with a person, but it could happen. But if you're kind of aware of the other person and you're still, I think there's something that kind of still stays connected to that point of attraction that you had initially, and it goes with you through time.
Yes.
So you're still kind of fucking that person, thinking I'm fucking that person I met for the first time. I'm still fucking.
When you fuck them again, you're fucking the person.
Even
from
if you
back
didn't
in
ever
time.
fuck them, if you're if you meet them when you're 20, and they're hot, they remain hot for you.
Yeah. So they become time stamped from when you first had your when you first connected with them.
Yeah, sort of. The sexuality doesn't go away. It's it could be the body is different, but you're still attracted to.
Yeah.
I feel that's probably true.
Yeah, I'd say so, and I think 100% that's true. And that's why you should break connections with all your exes.
Just never
cut them off.
Cut them off.
I recently
then you can look at them years later and go, "Wow, that person does not look good."
Well, you just want to you want to keep it fresh why you ended things and not let them still hang around. I don't know. I just discovered that on Facebook Messenger you can ignore messages, so you don't have to block the person or delete them. You can just ignore, and it's ooh.
A new tool.
Because there's this person that is like connected to my whole history in Berlin, and he keeps just checking in with me, hoping to fuck, and I sometimes fall into the trap. And
the honeypot.
Yeah, and he knows that I wouldn't fuck him. Like, he always has drugs. He's always like, because he knows I wouldn't fuck him if I was sober, right? And because I'm like, no, this is in the past. And so I recently, like this week, I was like, there's ignore messages. Like, yeah, because I know, like, I keep falling back into these little things.
Just block him.
But then he knows that I've blocked him. Ignore messages. There's no.
What do you care if he knows?
I would prefer to stay on good terms for.
Because of the drugs?
Not because of the drugs.
He's got really good drugs.
I don't want to say specifically, but we share something in the business world, and I want to stay on good terms.
I see. Hey, I don't know what business world means. Are you talking comedy or what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Do I know this person?
No, you don't know this person at all. I promise.
Okay. Right. So, all right. So, how does that?
Oh, we need to wrap up. Yeah. So
I'm just gonna ask about your mother. Look at that. Look at that.
Quick question. What was the question?
So, what after that period of time? How did your relationship with your mom? Like, what was the key elements of it? Let's say
the key elements of my relationship with my mom moving forward. I was very close with her, but mainly because my brother didn't want to stay with my mom anymore, and so he spent most of his time with my dad. I was mainly with my mom. And we were really close, probably too close, like not in any kind of fucked up way, but just like she probably shared a lot of her, fucked upness with me about her childhood, and then the boyfriends that she had. She found my stepfather pretty quickly, and then the kind of on and off vibe with my stepdad before they got married. And yeah, but then obviously when I turned 13, hormones and shit, I was a fucking nightmare. And yeah, I ended up going into therapy at like 17 to deal with all of my like the divorce issues. But like my mom and I are really, really close. And we're very similar.
So she's like, she exposed you to all this stuff though.
She exposed me to all of the emotional stuff and all of her childhood traumas. Like her mom was bipolar. My grandma was bipolar and suicidal regularly, and would threaten my mum with committing suicide all the time and do like really fucked up shit. And yeah.
But in terms of also what she went through at the time, you were the person to talk to.
Yeah. So when like the relationship with my stepdad became unstable, I was her shoulder to cry on. She was also seeing a therapist, but I was also the one that was there.
Yeah, but that was an hour. She's seeing a therapist, and that's the time I get a break from. Where's your mom? She's in kindergarten.
But my brother got to see a therapist, and my mom was seeing a therapist, and I would wait in the waiting room.
You would be the therapist, yeah. You would wait in the waiting room.
Literally, like
maybe I could hear something to help me out.
It was like a fucking like coffee machine. I used to have the hot chocolate. There was a billiard table, and I'd play billiards with like the other people
so
in the waiting room.
You're the strong one, basically.
I was the strong one until I fucking lost my shit.
Yeah.
All right, we got to wrap this shit up. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh my god. All right. Okay.
Always fun.
So that's been Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Check out Ori Halevy _
Big old Jew. This is who I am now. I'm the big old Jew. Or Epic Comedy Berlin, which is all the shows that I produce if you want to come check it out.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ori.
Thank you.
All right. That's been Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Good night and goodbye.
Yay.
Woo!